nangyayari kasi dito is that, okay, when it comes to offer and objection ang pinag-uusapan natin dito. Hindi ka nakikinig sa discussion ng offer and objection. When it comes to evidence, no, evidence was admitted without the objection despite of being inadmissible. Halimbawa, sa loob ng korte, nagkaroon ng formal offer. So, inoffer yung evidence. Ngayon, nung inoffer yung ebidensya, walang nag-object. Anong gagawin? Kung walang nag-object, then therefore yung evidence ay tatanggapin ng korte. Kasi merong nangyaring formal offer. So evidence that was admitted without the objection despite of being admissible, the evidence will be admitted. Tatanggapin pa rin yan. Kasi kasalanan ng counsel yun, bakit hindi nag-object? Diba? So alam na nga nila na yung ebidensya na yun ay inadmissible daw. Diba? Pero anong ginawa? Wala nag-object. Kaya nga meron tayong tinatawag na formal offer. Merong objection. Merong ruling after that. So the moment na walang objection, okay, anong iro-ruling? Wala. So therefore, the evidence will be admitted. Pag tinanong kayo, tinanggap, merong ebidensya, kahit ito ay despite na being inadmissible, pero walang nag-object. What will be your answer? The answer will be, the evidence will be admitted. Okay? So, klaro po tayo doon. Patap nga naman ang heart kung klaro tayo doon. Alright, so thank you. So, next question. Inadmissibility of evidence. This evidence is considered admissible for one purpose, but not for another with certain limitations is known as what? Nalito na naman kayo. Is that conditional admissibility? Is that curative, multiple, preferential? So, nakikita ko naman yung tamang answer. Pero meron pa rin ibang nalilito. Ipaliwanag ko lang po, no, kapag conditional. Kapag po sinabi natin conditional admissibility, halimbawa, ang gagawin natin ay, ang sabi ng magulang mo sa'yo is that, bibilan kita ng sasakyan kapag nakagraduate ka. Okay? Pero kapag, bibilan kita ng sasakyan ngayon, pero pag hindi ka nakagraduate, babawiin ko. Okay? So, meaning to say, so gagamitin mo siya ngayon, kaya lang, kung hindi ka nakagraduate is that, babawiin yung sasakyan sa'yo. So, that's conditional. Isa striken out, yung tatanggalin mo sa sasakyan since hindi ka graduate. When we say curative, ito yung it can cure the inadmissibility of the evidence to make it admissible. So what is the answer? The answer is multiple. Why? Hindi man siya nako-consider dun sa isang purpose, pero dun sa isa, magagamit yung ebidensya na yun. Then therefore, that becomes multiple admissibility. So, yun po yung tinatawag na multiple. Hindi porket merong nakalagay na certain limitations, conditional na. Tingnan nyo mabuti ha, anong nakalagay? Certain limitations. Hindi nakalagay na conditions. So, clear tayo doon? Limitations, not conditions. If that is condition, that becomes conditional admissibility. Pero, ang nakalagay, with certain limitations for one purpose, not for another, that becomes multiple. Okay po? Maniwanag tayo doon? Kasi baka mamaya pag lumabas yung admissibility of evidence, yung conditional, curative, multiple, mahilo kayo. Conditional, i-admit kita, pero later on, pag hindi mo napatunayan, I will strike it out. That's conditional. Curative, i-admit kita, okay, to cure the inadmissibility of the evidence to become admissible. And multiple, that is for the one purpose for another with certain limitations. Nilagyan lang ng certain limitations, nahilo na kayo. So, hindi yan conditional. That is multiple admissibility. So, patap ng heart kung okay na tayo. Alright. So, next question. Why must evidence be formally offered in court? Bakit ba kailangan yung ebidensya fina-formal offer sa korte? Katulad ng sabi ko sa inyo, since ako ang nagpawa sa inyo ng evidence. Ang isang ebidensya, kapag yan ay hindi nagkaroon ng formal offer sa loob ng korte, bulag si judge. Wala siyang nakita. Even if dala-dala mo pa yung ebidensya na yan pagdating sa korte. Okay? Kahit pa winawagayway mo yung ebidensya, judge, ito, meron kaming hawak, dala-dala ko. Pero the moment na walang formal offer na nangyari, still, yung ebidensya na yan ay wala. So, what's the answer? Bakit ba kailangan niya ni offer? To authenticate the evidence? To allow the court to consider it? To make it self-authenticating? To cure inadmissibility of the document? Anong sagot? Ay, madami pa ring hilo. Ang reactions ay heart and like button. Ano kayang mas tama dyan sa dalawa na yan? Meron pa rin ako nakikitang mali. Ano kaya dyan? Meron pa rin. Tingnan nga na. Meron pa rin. Tingnan nga na. Meron pa rin, 2, 3, 4, 5. Ayan, wala na. Okay? So, the answer is to allow the court to consider it. Hindi to authenticate. Kaya ba ginagawa yung formal offer para i-authenticate yung evidence? No. To allow the court to consider it. Kasi kapag walang nakita yan, walang ebidensya. Hindi para i-authenticate. Hindi para mapatunayang totoo yung ebidensya mo, i-authenticate mo yung evidence. Para malaman mo kung legal ba yun o illegal. Ganun ba yun? So, wrong. So, it should be to allow the court to consider it. Your Honor, I formally offer this knife as object evidence. So, there is a formal offer. The formal offer happens at open court, under oath and affirmation, dun sa witnesses, di ba? Sa loob ng trial, nasa hearing tayo. So, to allow the court to consider it. Klaro na po tayo doon. Patap-tap naman ang heart. Okay. So, let's proceed to the next question. When should objections to evidence be made? Kailan ba dapat kumokontra o nag-o-object sa mga ebidensyang pinipresenta? Pagkatapos ba ng judgment? Anytime ba? Pwede kang mag-object? Anytime during the trial? At the time the evidence is offered? Or after the presentation of all the evidence? So, what's the answer? Tingnan natin kung tama yung sagot. Meron pa rin ako nakikitang maling sagot. Meron mali. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 10. Tingnan natin. Meron pa rin. Sino yun? Sige, i-react nyo yung tamang answer. Kapag merong mali dyan, dito na mag-move sa next question. Meron pa rin mali. Sino yun? May sumasagot ng Delta. Alright, so the answer is, at the time the evidence is offered. So, doon po nagkakaroon ng objections. Hindi pwedeng after judgment. Paano ka ba kontra tapos na pala? Meron ng hatol. Diba? Hindi naman pwedeng anytime during the trial. Sino ka ba dyan, no? Para kumontra ka anytime during the trial. Okay? So, that is at the time the evidence is offered. Kasi kapag yung ebidensya, after yung pinresenta at hindi ka kumontra, i-admit. Katulad ng sabi ko kanina, di ba? Okay, eto meron kaming hawak na ebidensya dito, normal offer ko. Ngayon, hindi ka naman kumontra, then therefore, the evidence will be admitted. So ngayon, kung gusto mong kumontra, edi mag-object ka. Mag-object si counsel. And then, after the objection, katulad ng diniscuss ko sa inyo, after the objection, agad-agad na magbibigay ng ruling si judge. Whether yung ebidensya ay i-admit or hindi. Klaro po tayo dun? Patap-tap naman ang heart. Okay, so thank you po. Next question. How are private documents generally authenticated? Paano nga ba? Kung isang private document, paano mo ba siya kailangan i-authenticate? Meaning to say, paano mo mapapatunayan that the document was duly executed? By judicial notice of the court? By testimony of a subscribing witness or proof of handwriting? By notarization alone under oath of the lawyer present in the case? By presumption of regularity of the court. So, what's the answer? Tingnan natin. Meron pang may maling answer. Tingnan natin. Mag-reflect kayo kung ano bang tamang sagot. So, kailangan ba ng presumption of regularity of the court? Tandaan nyo, private document yan, hindi pwedeng mag-presume ang korte. Ano yan? Judicial notice? Diba? Alright, so correct na yung mga answer. Correct na ba yung sagot ninyo? Mali. Ano yan? Confetti, that's Charlie eh. That's notarization alone under oath of the lawyer present in the case. Ulitin nga natin. Kapag sinabing private na document, ano ba yung private document? Private document is that, paano mo siya papatunayan? Kailangan mo mag-provide ng witnesses, di ba? Kailangan mo mag-provide ng witnesses para mapatunayan na yung document na yun ay nagawa talaga. Okay? It was duly executed. Hindi po notarization alone. Kasi kapag that is notarization alone, pang-public document to. Okay? At ang public document, once na-notarize yan, self-authenticating na yan. Hindi na yan kailangan pang patunayan. Hindi rin po judicial notice ng korte. Okay? So, ulitin po natin, no? When we say private document versus the public document, pagka po self-authenticating na dokumento, ang sagot po dun ay public document. Okay? Ulitin natin. Self-authenticating. So, sana nagtitake down notes kayo, no? When we say self-authenticating, what kind of document is that? Yun po ay tinatawag natin na public document. Versus private. When we say private document, hindi katulad kay public, kasi si public, di mo na kailangan patunayan yan. Kasi kaya na niyang patunayan yung sarili niya, self-authenticated na. Pero, pag sinabi natin private document, since private yan, nasa usapan yung dalawa. So, kailangan pang patunayan. So, how can you prove it? You need to provide witnesses. So, ano pa? Yung proof ng handwriting. Kailangan masabi mo na kilala mo siya, yun talaga yung pirma ng tao na yan. You need to prove the genuineness of the signature of that person in order for you to testify na pirma niya na talaga. Okay? So again, paano mapapatunayan ang private document? Kailangan po ng testimony ng subscribing witness or proof of the handwriting. So the answer is bravo. Pero add lang po natin, no? Baka nakalimutan nyo na. So, meron po tayong private document na hindi na kailangan pang patunayan. Okay? So, yun po yung document wherein more than 30 years old. Unblemished po by any alteration. So, meaning to say, kung unblemished, dapat talagang binago dyan, hindi ginalaw. So, yun po yung unblemished na tinatawag. So, yun po yung private document na hindi mo na kailangan pang patunayan more than 30 years old. That is ancient document. Okay? Kasi hindi mo mahuhukay yung witness mo kung that is more than 30 years old na yung dokumento. Okay po? Maliwanag na po tayo when it comes to public document, private document. Okay? Next question. Which document is considered as self-authenticating? Sana wala na magkamali dyan. Anong sagot niyo? Meron pa rin mali? Ayan. Meron pa rin. Dalawa, oh. Okay, wala na. Salamat naman, Lord, no? So, the answer is public document. Okay? Pag sinabi po nating self-authenticating, kaya niya nang ipaliwanag yung sarili niya. Okay? That is public document. Next question. How is circumstantial evidence can be sufficient for conviction? So, I think nasa dulo ng discussion ko sa inyo, no? So, paano ba masasabi ng isang circumstantial ay sapat na parang isang tao ay makulong o makonvict? So, there is only one circumstance of the crime charge, So, mali na agad. Bakit siya naging mali? Only one circumstance. Kailan pa naging one kung circumstantial yan? So, that is wrong. B. The accused remains silent on the issue at hand at the court. C. Several circumstances form an unbroken chain leading to guilt. And letter D. There is no direct evidence in the subject matter of the case. Okay, perfect kayo lahat sa part na yan. So, the answer is several circumstances form an unbroken chain leading to guilt. So, meaning to say, kapag kayo na circumstantial, nakita nyo several circumstances. Di naman kailangan sabihin na, okay, ito yung nangyari. Okay, may mga scenario. As long as nakita niya na madaming circumstance yung nandun, hindi lang isa, so that becomes circumstantial. As long as it will lead to guilt of the accused. So, next question. When the evidence for the prosecution and defense is equally balanced, what should the court do? Okay, so ang ginawa daw ng prosecution at saka ng depensa, magaling sila parehas, balance yung evidence. Ano gagawin ng korte? Magbabato-batopic ba sila? Parang kapag ka-election, nag-tie? Magto-toss coin? Kung sinong uupo? So, anong gagawin nila? Ano sagot? Convict the accused, apply preponderance of evidence when it comes to civil cases, acquit the accused based on presumption of innocence, require additional evidence to be presented in court. Parang wala pang tama. O, dalawa pa lang yung nakikita kong tama. 4. O, walang tama sa screen. O, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. O, 9, 10. Okay, tingnan nga natin, isa-isahan nga natin. Convict the accused. Of course, mali. Mali na 'to, walang magre-react ng heart diyan. Kung gusto niyo po masasampaw walang magre-react ng heart ha, mali po yung alpha, 'no? Kasi balance na nga, yung ebidensya. Iko-convict mo pa rin? Napaka-unfair mo naman. Ang unfair naman ni Diyos, ang unfair naman ng buhay, 'di ba? Next, apply preponderance of evidence when it comes to civil cases. Bakit? Bakit naging apply? Ba't naging apply preponderance? Meron bang binanggit dito na ito ay criminal case? Meron bang binanggit dito na civil case 'to? Oh, ano bang binabanggit diyan? Meron bang binabanggit diyan? And kahit merong banggitin dito, mag-a-apply ka ng preponderance? So, wrong. Next is, acquit the accused based on presumption of innocence. Ano bang rule natin kapagka balance? Anong sabi ko sa inyo? Kapagka balance, okay? Balance ang ebidensya ng prosecution, balance din ang ebidensya ng defense. So, what should the court do? Rule in favor of kanino? Sa akusado. So, anong sagot? Acquit mo. Kasi pabor ka dapat sa accused. Kasi bakit? Meron tayong presumption of innocence na tinatawag. So, that is the equiponderance. No, equiponderance of evidence. Equipoise rule. Nakalimutan niyo na ba? Ulitin nga natin, no? Nasa tosto When the evidence for the prosecution and the defense is equally balanced, what should the court do? Ito ang lagi niyong tatandaan, no? Ang batas, pabor yan sa akusado, lalo kapag yung ebidensya ay patas. Bakit? Kasi pagdating sa weight and sufficiency ng ebidensya, dapat mapatunayan ng prosecution na may kasalanan talaga yung akusado. Pero pag ang nangyari is that, yung ebidensya ay patas. Ibig sabihin, nag-fail sila, napatunayan. Kasi patas yung evidence nila. They are equally balanced. So meaning to say, if they are equally balanced, wala. Negative na yun kay prosecution. Kapag kaya equally balanced, always rule in favor of the accused because meron tayong tinatawag na presumption of innocence. So, acquit natin si akusado. Tandaan niyo po, ano? So, maliwanag po tayo doon. Tandaan niyo po yun. Kapag po yan ay ang ebidensya ay balanse, lagi po pabor kay akusado. Kasi nagkamali po ang prosecution na taasan yung timbang nung hawak nila na ebidensya. Okay, patap-tap naman ang heart dyan. Okay, so next question. The prosecution offered a CCTV footage showing the accused at the crime scene. So, ang ginawa ng prosecution, nag-offer ng CCTV footage showing na andun yung akusado sa crime scene. Okay? Ang nangyari is that yung footage ay relevant. So, may kinalaman naman kasi talaga siya. Kasi andun daw siya sa crime scene. So, relevant yung footage. Okay? But, it was obtained without the consent of the accused and without the court order. Ang ginawa ng depensa, nag-object. Nag-object kasi nga, okay, wala na obtained na walang consent. Kinuha na lang yung CCTV footage. The question is, paano gagawin ng korte? So, tingnan nga natin kung tama kayo. Ano sagot nyo? Exclude the evidence because it is irrelevant. Admit the evidence because it shows guilt. Exclude the evidence for being incompetent. Or admit the evidence under conditional admissibility. So, anong sagot? Conditional admissibility? Ulitin natin, no? Ang sabi ko, pagdating sa admissibility ng ebidensya, wala namang sinabi dyan yung prosecution na, okay, tatanggapin natin to with certain conditions. Wala po yun sa senaryo. Huwag niyong dinadagdagan yung facts. No, lilituin niyo lang yung sarili niyo kapag ganun kayo sasagot. Okay? So, hindi po yan admit the evidence under conditional admissibility kasi wala naman sa facts of the case yon. So, slash nyo yan. So, the answer would be, exclude the evidence for being incompetent. Bakit? Anong sabi ko under admissibility of evidence? Kahit pa relevant yan, pero hindi competent ang isang ebidensya, hindi pa rin i-admit ng korte. So meaning to say, in order for evidence to be admissible, ulit-ulit tayo, that it should be relevant and competent. Kapag kayo irrelevant, directly connected with the issue, even if that is directly connected with the issue, but the evidence obtained as is illegal, meaning to say, inadmissible pa rin yung isang ebidensya. Sabihin mong competent yan, pero hindi naman siya relevant. So, wala ring silbi. Wala ring saysay. Walang bearing. Kailangan silang dalawa present. Ano po? Klaro po tayo doon? Okay po. Sige, next. During the trial, the prosecution presented a document which is clearly irrelevant to the issue. The defense, nalagay to yung answer. The defense did not object in deciding the case. How should the court treat the document? So, the court should consider the document kasi na wala namang objection na nangyari. Okay? Next po. A photograph of the crime scene is to help the court visualize is describing. Why is it considered as object or real evidence? Bakit kaya? May visualize what the witness is describing. Nagko-consider na object or real evidence. Okay, bakit kaya? So, samot-sari na naman yung reaction. Present to help the court visualize what the witness is describing. Why is it considered object or real evidence? Because, katulad ng sabi ko kanina, kapag yan ay object or real evidence, okay, it appeals to the senses of the court. Okay, so correct. Next question. In a prosecution for theft, the issue is whether the accused unlawfully took the cell phone of the complainant. There is a presentation of CCTV footage showing that the accused took the cell phone from the table. So this example is called as what? Factum probandum, factum probans, judicial notice, or circumstantial evidence. Ano kaya to? Tingnan natin kung tama. In a prosecution for theft, the issue is whether the accused unlawfully took the cell phone of the complainant. So there is a presentation of the CCTV footage showing that the accused took the cell phone from the table. This example is factum probans. Correct. So, the answer is probans. Ano yung tinatawag natin as factum probans? That is the evidence. Okay? That will prove the factum probandum. Next question. X is a medical expert in Manila. He testified, okay, on the cause of death based on his professional training and examination of the body. X testimony is best classified as what? So, ano pong sagot natin doon? Ulitin natin, no? Nahilo na naman sila. Si X po isang medical expert. Okay? Sa Manila, nag-testify siya on the cause of death in his professional training and examination of the body. So, hindi po siya pwede maging direct evidence. Ano dahil eyewitness siya, kaya direct evidence? Kaya puso? Ang sabi dyan ay medical expert siya. And then, sinabi po dyan na in his professional training and examination. So, therefore, that is opinion evidence. Okay? So, yung opinion evidence po natin, hindi po nakalagay yung expert, ay hindi na yun yung i-answer ninyo. No? Under opinion na, dalawa po yon yung sakop niya. It's either ordinary witness or expert opinion. Okay? Next question. Wala na palang next. Sorry. So, that is the end for the criminal evidence. Pero before I proceed with this one, so, tingnan ulit natin yung toss. No? So, mag-focus kayo on the toss. Okay? Okay, so balikan muna natin. Let's have a short recap lang naman. Alam ko na nagugutom na kayo, pagod na kayo, no? Ako din. Okay. So, look at the TOS. So, yung evidence, mathematic yan, Rule 128, Section 1. Proof beyond reasonable doubt when it comes to criminal cases. Substantial evidence when it comes to administrative cases. Preponderance of evidence, that is when it comes to civil cases. Equipoise of evidence and equiponderance of evidence, this is the same, no? If there is equally balanced. Always rule in favor of the accused. Ganun po tayo, ha? Identify the evidence according to forms. So, meron po tayong tinatawag na documentary, object, and testimonial. So, doon po iikot to sa DOT. Documentary, object, testimonial. Okay? Next po is the categorize the kinds and classes of evidence. Andiyan yung evidence natin wherein merong positive, merong negative, direct, documentary, okay? Corroborative, cumulative, conclusive, prima facie. So, doon po iikot yan sa kinds and classes of evidence. When it comes to the admissibility of evidence in general, meaning to say, parang isang ebidensya itanggapin sa loob ng korte, kailangan yan ay relevant at competent, as well as kapag po admissibility ang pinag-uusapan, sana nagte-take down notes kayo, no? Meron po tayo yung tinatawag natin na conditional, curative, and multiple. So, iikot po yun doon. Okay? Next is, explain the manner of offering of evidence and their objections. Anong mangyayari kapag ka ang ebidensya ay inoffer at nag-object? So, magkakaroon ng ruling. 'Di ba? Paano naman kapag yan ay may nag-object, nag-sustain si judge, so ano mangyayari? Nag-overrule si judge, what will happen? Tandaan ninyo, pag ang ebidensya ay inoffer at ang ginawa ni judge ay, ang ginawa ng abogado, objection, Your Honor. Ang gagawin po ni judge, pag sinabi ni judge na sustain, therefore, tinatanggap niya yung objection na ginawa, which is ititigil. So, tinatanggap niya in a positive and then tigil. Ganun po yung sustain. Pag overrule, tuloy. So, ganun lang yun. Okay? And then, when it comes to, saan ba tayo? Okay. When it comes to rules for presenting documentary, ito lang ang tatandaan ninyo. Pagdating sa documentary evidence, kailangan naman kasi talaga lagi original yan. It's because that is under the original document rule. Pero, subject to exceptions. So, dun po papapasok yung mga secondary na ebidensya. Okay? And then, next is the sufficiency of evidence. So, how can you consider na yung ebidensya na yun ay sapat? So, ganun lang kasimple yung evidence. So, klaro na po tayo doon. So, I hope na na-explain ko sa inyo tong TOS. No? So, focus kung ano yung mga pinagsasabi ko dito. Okay. So, now let's proceed with criminal procedure. But before I proceed with the criminal procedure, kindly give me 5 minutes lang. No? Inom lang ako ng water. Very quick lang. 5 minutes. Procedure. Thank you for waiting. Alam ko na very tired na kayo, no? So, let's start na. So, when it comes to criminal procedure, so compare the jurisdiction of courts, discuss the fundamental concept of criminal procedure, determine the rights of the accused during the trial, evaluate the procedure and conduct of arrest, with or without a warrant, and of a search and seizure. Illustrate the procedure in filing of cases, conducting preliminary investigation and inquest proceedings, including the barangay justice system, utilize the process and application for bail, arraignment, pre-trial, trial, illustrate the procedure and the presentation of witnesses, including child witnesses, particularly in the conduct of direct examination and cross-examination. So when it comes po sa criminal procedure, 22 questions will come from this. So 22 dito, 18 sa evidence. So total of 40 questions na po tong dalawa na to. So dito manggagaling yung exam ninyo when it comes to yung long quiz nyo, yung periodical, as well as your final exam. So 40 na po ang dalawa na to. Okay, so let's start. So first question. X killed Y qualified with evident premeditation and it was proved. The crime under the law is punishable by reclusion perpetua. In which court should the criminal action be instituted? Saan ba dapat i-institute yan? Is it Alpha? Is it Bravo? Charlie or Delta? Metropolitan Trial Court? Regional Trial Court? Sindigan Bayan? Or is it Court of Appeals? Abay, ba't may nagko-confetti ron? Ano yan, mali ba ng pindot? Okay. So, very obvious naman, no? Ewan ko na lang talaga kapag MTC sinagot nyo dito. Si X, pinatay niya si Y with evident premeditation at napatunayan pa, no? Even if so, na hindi nga ilagay na it was proved. The moment na ang tinatanong dito kung saan ifa-file to, kung ang parusa ay reclusion perpetua, of course, that is saan? Sa regional trial court. Tandaan niyo po yun, ha? Kahit po hindi nakalagay na merong evident premeditation at napatunayan. Still, the court eyes RTC. Kasi the crime is what? Punishable by reclusion perpetua. Okay po? Ganun po yung basehan when it comes to institution ng criminal action. Okay? Hindi po pwedeng sa MTC, hindi pwedeng sa Sandigan Bayan, and sa Court of Appeals. Next question. X committed a crime that is charged with violation of a city ordinance in Manila. Which court has the authority to try the case? Sabi siguro, ma'am, kung ganyan lang po yung mga tanong, siguro napakadali ng exam namin, ano. Titignan mo lang kung saan mo isasampa yung kaso, kung sa MTC, RTC, Sandigan man, saka CA. Walang nakakalito pala dyan. Oh. Okay, so that is Metropolitan Trial Court. Bakit? Kasi yan po ay violation ng city ordinance. Hindi mo pwedeng palalain yan, ipa-file mo saan? Sa RTC. Walang jurisdiction ng RTC sa violation ng city ordinance. So that is upon the Metropolitan Trial Court. Okay. Next question, number 3. Under the current jurisdictional rules, which factor primarily determines whether the Sandigan Bayan or the regional trial court has jurisdiction over a public officer? So, paano ba? Under the current jurisdictional rules. So, is it the nature of the offense regardless of the officer's rank? Is it the salary grade of the public officer and the nature of the offense? Is it the length of service of the public officer in the government? Or the specific city or province where the public officer is stationed? So, nasa tagal ba yun sa serbisyo ng isang public officer para malaman whether mag-fall ba siya under the Sandigan Bayan or the RTC? Saan? Nasaan tayo nakatingin? Sa pera. Ano yung pera? Yung sahod. So, that is the salary grade of the public officer and the nature, of course, of the offense. So, anong salary grade po ba yung required? That is SG 27. Okay. So, next question. In the context of the Philippine criminal procedure, okay, what does the adversarial system imply? Okay, imply regarding the role of the judge. So, pagdating sa adversarial procedure, ano ba yung adversarial na tinatawag? Is it the judge initiates the gathering of evidence for both parties? Is it the judge act as a neutral arbiter of the evidence presented by parties? Is it the judge is responsible for the cross-examination of the accused? Or is it the judge that determines the charges to be filed against the respondent? So, ano ba kasi ang ibig sabihin ng adversarial system na tinatawag? So, when we say adversarial system po, no, that is the judge act as a neutral arbiter of the evidence presented by the parties. Why? Kasi when it comes to adversarial system, they rely on two opposing parties, which is merong depensa at merong prosecution. So ngayon, ang gagawin ni judge, kapag merong defense at merong prosecution, dapat siya, neutral. Siya yung tinatawag natin na neutral arbiter. It's because siya yung judge. So kailangan niyang magdesisyon ng tama at pantay base sa mga ebidensya na ipepresenta. So siya yung mag-act as a neutral arbiter. Okay, so that is the adversarial system. That is the role of the judge. Okay? Patap ng heart, kung naiintindihan nyo yung role ni judge between the prosecution and the defense. Okay, thank you. Next question. What is the primary objective of the liberal construction of the rules of court? To allow the prosecution to bypass technical requirements, to ensure a just, speedy, and inexpensive determination of cases, to grant the accused a shorter period to file a counter affidavit to permit the judge to ignore the rules of evidence when necessary. So what do you think is the answer when it comes to number 5? So ano ba ibig sabihin kasi ng liberally construed? Ano ba ibig sabihin nun? So when we say liberal construction, yung tinatawag na liberally construed in order to ensure na magkakaroon ng just, speedy, and inexpensive determination of cases. Di ko lang alam kung nangyayari to sa totoong buhay, no? Pero siguro naman, hindi naman tayo bulag lahat, no? Di rin naman tayo bingi, no? Na alam natin na kung ano yung nangyayari sa government natin ngayon, still, sa palagay niyo ba, mayroon pa bang just, speedy, and expensive determination of cases? So, I don't think so. No, kaya na humusga. So, ibibigay ko sa inyo ang karapatang manghusga. Okay, when it comes to that issue. Okay, so, the answer is bravo. Next is, during the trial, the prosecution attempts to compel the accused to perform a DNA swab test. So the defense objects. Which right is the defense likely invoking? Ano ba pinaglalaban dito? Yun yung tinatanong dyan. Anong pinaglalaban nyo? Kasi during the trial, anong ginawa ng prosecution? Inattempt niya na i-compel yung akusado para mag-perform ng DNA swab test. So, ano yung na-violate dito? Kaya sabi ko sa inyo, hindi applicable yung laging mahabang sagot no? So, that is correct. That is right against self-incrimination. Okay? Ikaw na maglalaglag sa sarili mo kapag nag-perform ka ng DNA swab. Okay? Next question. Si Maria, no? Si Maria, galgal na galgal yung pangalan nito when it comes to example, when it comes to exam, no? When it comes to typing, galgal na galgal si Maria. So, si Maria is an indigent accused appears at the arraignment na wala siyang abogado. Okay? What is the mandatory duty of the court under the rules? Ano ba dapat gawin ng korte? Eh, mahirap nga siya, indigent. Yun po yung ibig sabihin ng indigent, mahirap. So, nag-appear siya na wala siyang korte. So, ano kailangan gawin? Dismiss na case for lack of representation. Ang bias mo naman, i-dismiss mo yung kaso kasi wala siyang abogado. Kawawa naman siya. No. Postpone the arraignment indefinitely until the accused finds a lawyer. O, ganun ba yun? Postpone mo muna. Okay, postpone mo muna natin to. Hanap muna ako. Proceed the arraignment as long as the accused understand the charge. Eh, ma-violate mo na yung, constitutional right ng isang accused. Diba? So, what will you do is that appoint a counsel de officio to represent the accused. So, that is the mandatory duty of the court. That's not just a duty, but rather a mandatory duty of the court to appoint a counsel to represent the accused. So, klaro po tayo dun. Patap-tap naman ng heart. Okay, lahat na magta-tap-tap ng heart, papasa ng POA. Sige, tantadin nyo. Ay, may nag-like button. Galit yata sa mundo to. Okay, so next question. In which of the following scenarios is right to confrontation of the accused deemed violated? The accused was not allowed to testify in his own favor as provided by the law. The court admitted a witness affidavit without the witness being cross-examined. The prosecutor asked leading questions during the direct examination. The judge denied the accused request for a change of venue. So, anong sagot dito? In which of the following scenarios is right to confrontation deemed violated? So, ano kayang na-violate dyan sa number na ito? Tingnan natin. Sa tingin nyo, tama kayo mga answer ninyo? Ano yung na-violate? Ay, parang wala pang tamang sagot sa screen. Ano kayo na-violate diyan? Ano sa following scenarios yung right to confrontation ay deemed violated? The answer is, sinong nakasamang sagot? Dalawa, dalawa pa lang. Okay, 3, 4, 5. The answer is, bravo. Hindi pwedeng Charlie. Ano ba kayo? Ano ba yung Charlie? The prosecutor asked leading questions during the direct examination. Although, yung leading questions ay bawal siya sa direct examination, pero it doesn't mean na na-violate yung right to confrontation mo. Okay? So the correct answer is bravo. The court admitted a witness affidavit without the witness being cross-examined. That's the answer. So mali nga, yung letter C, si prosecutor ay bawal siyang magtanong ng leading questions during the direct examination. Pero it doesn't mean na na-violate yung right to confrontation. Kasi ang tinatanong po dito ay right to confrontation. Kasi ang mangyayari, kapag during the direct examination ay tinanong ka ng leading questions, mag-o-object kasi mali yung tanong. Pero hindi ibig sabihin na na-violate yung right mo na ma-confront ka. So, gets po? Gets po ba yun? Okay, sige. Ulitin natin. When it comes to cross-examination and direct examination, pag po direct examination, bawal po si leading questions. Si leading questions po ay allowed po during the cross-examination, during the preliminary matters. Allowed din po yun kapag a child witness and hostile witness. Okay? Next. Number 9. While patrolling, police officer Pedro arrests a person immediately after seeing him drop a bag containing illegal drugs while running away. So, what is the most accurate legal basis for this warrantless arrest? So, anong sagot niyo dyan? Bravo ba yan o alpha? Tingnan natin. That is correct. Okay, that is in flagrante delicto. Next is, compare the duration of validity between a search warrant and a warrant of arrest. So, ano ba pinagkaiba yung dalawa na yan? Compare nga natin sila. Kasi baka pagkadating sa exam, mahilo kayo, no? Both are valid for 10 days from issuance of the warrants. Okay, so valid ba yan? 10 days from the issuance of the warrant. Search warrants are valid for 10 days. Arrest warrants remain valid until executed or lifted. Search warrants are valid for 15 days. Arrest warrants are valid for 10 days. Both remain valid indefinitely until the return is made to the court. Oh, alright. So, tama pala ang lahat dito sa number 10. So, the answer is bravo. So, why is it bravo? Okay, so search warrants are valid for 10 days. Arrest warrants remain valid until executed or lifted. So, under Rule 126, no, pagdating sa search warrant, valid yan for 10 days. And yung warrant of arrest, it does not expire until the person is caught or kapag ka nilift ng korte. Okay? So next question. The officers serve an arrest warrant and find an unlicensed firearm in plain view on a table. They seize it without a search warrant. Is the seizure valid? Valid ba yun? No, because the warrant was for the person, not the firearm. Yes, under the plain view doctrine, as they were legally present. No, because the firearm was not issued in the commission of the crime. Or letter D, Yes, but only if they obtain a search warrant retroactively. So what's the answer when it comes to this? Tama na ba ang sagot ninyong lahat? So the answer is correct, no? So tama kayo. Perfect na kayo dyan. Yes, under the Plainview Doctrine as they were legally present. Tandaan ninyo, what's a Plainview yan? Pwede. No? Pero ang ginawa, sa loob ng cabinet, binuksan pa yung cabinet, hindi na Plainview. Kasi when we say Plainview, nakikita ng mata mo. Okay? That's the Plainview na tinatawag. Next question. There is a search warrant that was issued but did not specify the room number of the apartment to be searched. So, merong search warrant. Kaya lang, ang problema, doon sa search warrant na in-issue, hindi naka-specify kung anong room number ng apartment na hinahagilap. The question is, how you can evaluate the admissibility of the evidence found? Is it admissible because the building address was correct? B. Is it inadmissible for failure to satisfy the requirement of particularity? C. Admissible if the officers acted in good faith and found the correct room? Ano, magaling pala ito, manghuhula no? In good faith, found the correct room. D. Inadmissible only if the owner was not present during the search. So, the answer would be... Okay, so tama naman kayo. Inadmissible for failure to satisfy the requirement of particularity. So, tandaan nyo, no, kailangan yung isang warrant, it must describe the place and items to be seized. Kasi kailangan ng particularity. Okay? Kasi kapag yan ay walang particularity, then therefore, wala, automatic ano yan, inadmissible. Mag-fall yun under the exclusionary rule. Okay? So, next question. Under the 2024, the DOJ NPS rules, Department of Justice National Prosecution Service, what is the new evidentiary standard required for a prosecutor to file an information in court? Ano answer? Alpha? Sigurado kayo, Alpha? Sigurado kayo, Heart? O parehas ko kayo na naduduling na sa screen? No. Oh, nawala yung mga nag-heart ng Alpha dyan. Okay. The Alpha is prima facie with reasonable certainty of conviction. Proof beyond reasonable doubt, bravo. Charlie is prima facie evidence with reasonable certainty of conviction. And letter D, preponderance of evidence with reasonable certainty of conviction. Dati po, is the determination is the probable cause na tinatawag. No? But under 2024, the DOJ NPS rules, pinalitan na, pinataas na. Okay, that is the prima facie evidence with reasonable certainty of conviction. So the answer would be correct. So that is Charlie. So next question. Si Prosecutor M finds that while a crime was committed, the evidence presented has been unlikely to stand in a full trial. Under the 2024 rules, anong dapat gawin ng prosecutor? File the information and let the court decide the weight of evidence? Pwede, ano. File mo yung information, bahala ng korte, i-determine kung paano ba yung bigat ng ebidensya na nakalap. No? Next is to recommend the dismissal based on lack of reasonable certainty of conviction. Pwede. No? Hold the case in abeyance until the complainant finds more witnesses. Dapat ba hold muna hanggat di pa nakakahanap ng witnesses? Matindi, no? Or letter D, file a lower charge that it easier to prove. Yung hula-hula ba ang batas? Okay, so under the DOJ NPS, kapag ang nangyari is that, nakitaan ng prosecution na it is not unlikely to stand in a full trial, which means kulang yung ebidensya. Ibig sabihin, hindi sapat. Then therefore, kung ang ebidensya na nakalap ng prosecution ay hindi sapat para mag-convict sa isang tao, then therefore, anong kailangan gawin? I-recommend na ma-dismiss. Kasi walang sapat na basihan. Okay? So, it should recommend the dismissal. It is based on lack of reasonable certainty of conviction. The moment na sinasabi ng prosecution na unlikely na yan mag-stand sa trial, dismiss na yan. Wala pala kayong ebidensya eh. Okay? So, patap-tap naman po ng heart. Kung andyan pa kayo. Okay. Sige, tap-tap ng heart. Yung mga gusto pumasa ng POA. Naway makapasa kayong lahat. Okay, next. There is a criminal complaint for an offense punishable by 6 months is filed in court, okay, without a certificate from the Lupon Tagapamayapa. So both parties live in the same barangay. The question is the filing proper? Tama daw ba yung filing? Yes, because criminal cases are not subject to conciliation. No. Is it a condition precedent for offenses within the Lupon's authority? C. Yes, because the court has exclusive jurisdiction regardless of the Lupon. Or letter D. No, but only if the accused is a minor. So what's the answer? Parang walang tama. 3 pa lang. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. O, tumatama na kayo Okay. Okay. So the answer is bravo. Why is it bravo? Bakit ba bravo yung tamang answer? It's because, no, it is condition precedent for offenses within the Lipon's authority. Hindi pwede na basta-basta ang gagawin mo na lang ay ano, walang binigay na certificate to file action. Walang CFA. Dumirect ka na sa korte. So, mali yung pag-file. Bakit mali? It's because under the Katarungan Pambarangay, yung crimes with penalties of 1 year or less. Okay? So, kailangan muna ng conciliation yun bago sa makarating sa korte. Bago mag-filing. Diba meron tayong procedure when it comes sa Katarungan Pambarangay? We have the lupon tagapamayapa. Diba? Saka lupon tagapagkasundo. Okay? We have the mediation and the conciliation. Next question. Following a warrantless arrest, there was an inquest conducted. The prosecutor finds that the arrest was unlawful. What is the correct procedure under the 2024 DOJ NPS rule? Ano ba yung kailangan gawin? Anong ginawa dyan? Warrantless arrest. There was an inquest conducted. Kaso, ang nangyari is that si prosecutor, he finds that the arrest was unlawful. So ngayon, kung nakita mo na ang arrest pala ay unlawful, hindi makatarungan, anong kailangan na tamang procedure na gawin? Kailangan naman na gawin mo ay, okay, the prosecutor must still file the information if there is probable cause. Para ka palang ewan bulag ka ba? So, mali. Diba? The prosecutor must ask the judge to validate the arrest first. Paano pang i-validate ni judge? Sabi na nga ng prosecution, okay, unlawful. Diba? Next is the prosecutor should file the case and move for the accused immediate bail. Ngek, ba't magbe-bail? Unlawful na nga. So what will happen? The prosecutor shall order the release of the person and convert the case into a regular investigation. Since ang nangyari, unlawful yung aresto, kailangan mong pakawalan yung tao na yan at kung gusto mo talaga yan makulong, mag-convert ka sa regular investigation para mabusising mabuti yung kaso ng isang tao. Pero the moment na yung pag-aresto sa kanya ay unlawful, kaagad-agad, dapat ang gawin ng prosecution ay i-release niya yung magkuha siya ng order for the release of the person. Okay, patap-tap naman ng heart. Alright, so thank you. Okay, so andiyan pa ba kayo? Ano pa ba yung mga ibang reaction dito? Hinahawakan ko yung screen, hindi nga pala 'to touchscreen. Okay. So, kung buhay pa kayo diyan, mag-tap kayo ng wow. Yung mga nakikinig diyan, tap wow. Sige, wow lang ang lalabas sa screen. Wow lang, wow. Ay naku, ang lulungkot niyo naman. Wow sabi eh. May nagta-thumbs down. Siguro malungkot siya sa life. Okay. So, next question. What plea is entered by the court if the accused refuses to plead during the arraignment? So, anong ginawa? What plea is entered by the court if the accused refuses to plead? Ngayon, mag-enter ng plea si akusado, kaya lang, siya ay matigas. Ayaw niyang mag-enter ng plea niya whether siya ba ay guilty or not guilty. So, ano kayang pwedeng gawin? A plea of guilty is entered since hindi pwede dito yung silence means yes, ano? Kasi hindi porket di ka sumagot, guilty ka na agad. So, hindi applicable yun dito. Okay? The court declares mistrial? Porket ba hindi nag-plea? Mistrial na agad. Okay? O hindi man nag-plea kasi ipopostpone yung arraignment for 30 days. Ay, VIP ka. So, what is the answer? The answer should be, a plea of not guilty is entered. So, tandaan ninyo, pag ang isang akusado ay hindi nag-enter ng kanyang plea during the arraignment, automatic po, in favor dapat. Which means, yung in favor na yon ay magpi-plea ng not guilty para sa kanya. So, mapapansin ninyo, nung inaresto si Bong Revilla, so, during the arraignment, si Bong Revilla, hindi siya nag-enter ng plea niya. Anong ginawa ng Sandigan Bayan? Ang in-enter sa kanya ay still, kahit pa guilty daw siya, no? Anong ginawa ng Sandigan Bayan? Plea of not guilty pa rin is entered because that is under the rules. Kung isang accused refuses to plead during the arraignment, magbibigyan siya ng plea of not guilty. So, patap-tap ng heart. Okay. Next question. An accused is charged with a capital offense. At the bail hearing, the prosecution's evidence is found to be weak. What is the court's proper action? So, mahina daw. Pero, chinarge siya ng capital offense. So, minito si capital yung offense. Kaya lang, yung prosecution evidence is found to be weak. So, ang ruling po natin, kapag ang isang akusado ay sinampahan ng capital offense, non-bailable. Okay po? Hindi po siya pwedeng mag-bail kasi capital yung offense. That's the general rule when it comes to bail. So, makinig kayo mabuti. Pagdating po sa bail, general rule, kapag capital offense yan, matik, hindi pwedeng mag-piyansa. Kasi capital offense. Pero, okay, pwede pong mag-bail ang isang tao kapag yung ebidensya ng prosecution ay mahina. So, therefore, dito, anong sagot? Mag-grant ng bail because the evidence of guilt is not strong. Okay? So, we need to say, kung ang evidence of guilt is not strong, so anong gagawin? I-grant yung bail nung accused. Okay po? So, tandaan ninyo, kapag ang capital offense, punishable man yan ng death or reclusion perpetua, that becomes bail when it is discretionary. Okay? So, yun po yung nangyayari doon. So, next question. During a pre-trial, the accused and the counsel agreed to certain facts but refused to sign the pre-trial order. Ngayon, since ang akusado during the pre-trial, okay, nag-agree siya to certain facts, pero hindi niya pinirmahan. So, merong nag-agree, kaso hindi nagpirma, walang sign. Ano magiging epekto? The admissions are still binding on the accused? Ay, baka pwede. Kasi, tingnan mo, nag-agree naman siya, kaya lang nakalimutan niyang pumirma. Or he refuses to do so, di siya nakapirma, baka, di ba? Next is, the admissions cannot be used against the accused. Next is, the admission cannot be used against the accused. Ay, parehas ano? Anong sagot? Ano answer? The court must enter a plea of guilty for the accused. Pasensya na yan, pagod na yata yung gumawa nito. No? So, the answer is letter B. So, the admissions cannot be used against the accused. So, parehas lang naman yung B and C. No, pasensya na. No, pagod na yung O ate. So, the admissions cannot be used against the accused. Why? Kailangan po, okay, merong sign. Okay? So, based dito sa number 19, agreements when it comes to pre-trial, it must be reduced, okay, to writing and signed by the accused and the counsel para magamit siya na ebidensya. Kasi pag ang nangyari, nag-agree ka lang sa certain facts, but you refuses to sign the pre-trial order, then therefore, that admissions cannot be used against the accused. Ano pong tatandaan dito? It should be put into writing and signed by the accused and the counsel. Okay po tayo? So, patap-tap naman ng heart. Okay, so thank you. Next question. Accused named Pedro. Si Pedro din, galgal na din to si Pedro. Si Pedro, si Maria, saka si Juan. Diba? So, sila yung, galgal na galgal. Si accused named Pedro was present during the arraignment in the court. Kaya lang, even if present siya sa arraignment, ang ginawa niya ay he escaped before the trial ended. Tumakas. Okay? Tumakas siya. Can the court proceed with the trial? Magpo-proceed pa rin ba ang trial kahit na si akusado ay tumakas? No, the trial must be suspended until the accused is arrested. Ay, VIP naman si accused. Kailangan pa siyang i-arrestuin ulit para mag-proceed. B. Yes, trial in absentia is allowed if the accused was notified and his absence is unjustified. Pwede. Next, no, because the accused cannot cross-examine the witness. Hindi nga naman yung mako-cross-examine kasi ala. Diba? Tumakas. Letter D, yes, but only if the defense counsel also agrees to proceed. Ay, nasa defense counsel ba ang pagpapasya whether itutuloy o hindi? Of course not, di ba? So, what's the answer? The answer is, bravo. Meron po tayong tinatawag na trial in absentia kung saan si akusado na-arraign na yan, kaya lang, tumakas na siya afterwards bago matapos yung trial, still, magpo-proceed na po. Trial in absentia ang tawag. If the accused was notified and yung kanyang pag-absent ay unjustifiable. Okay po tayo doon. Patap-tap naman ng heart kung okay tayo doon. Alright. So, sa mga gustong pumasa, mag-tap ng confetti. Dali. Ay, confetti ba yan? Ano ba yan? Confetti nga. Tama, confetti. Pati ako, nako-confuse na ako sa mga emoji dito. Okay, so next question. In a direct examination, the prosecutor asked, so direct examination tayo, you saw the defendant holding the gun, correct? What is the correct ruling on a defense objection? So, ano sa palagay ninyo, ano yung iro-ruling dito? Sabing gano'n 'no, direct examination. The prosecutor uso the defendant holding the gun, correct? Kita mo? Nakita mo nakita mo? Hawak niya yung baril? Tama ba? Sabi. So, ano bang dapat na maging ruling? So, nakita niyo ba? Direct to, di ba? Direct examination. Pero, anong nangyari? Merong leading na tanong. Bawal to. Or better yet, baka hindi pa nga leading to. O, depende, ano? Pero ang sabi kasi dito, Yuso, nakita mo na mayroong hawak na baril. So, what's the answer? So, ang gagawin dito ay sustain. Correct kayo. It is a leading question which is prohibited in the direct examination. So, therefore, sustain yan. Ang ibig sabihin ng sustain, i-allow yung objection. Okay? So, klaro po ba tayo doon? Clear po? O, patap-tap ng heart if clear. Okay. So, next question. Si witness X is unable, okay, to speak but he can write. How should the court receive the testimony? Paano ba i-receive ng korte yung testimony na yun? Disqualify the witness for being incompetent? Allow the witness to write the answers in open court? Require a family member to speak on behalf of the witness? Oy, may representative pa 'to, bongga, 'di ba? Direct the witness to provide a video recording of the testimony. So, what's the answer? Unable to speak. Pero pwede naman siya magsulat. So, ang gagawin is that, i-allow yung witness to write the answers in open court. Okay? So, wala namang sinasabi ang rules, ang batas, na kapag ikaw ay hindi makapagsalita, hindi ka na pwedeng tumestigo. Okay? Kaya if mapapansin ninyo, interrelated talaga when it comes to evidence sa criminal procedure. Kasi kung anong inaral mo sa evidence, i-apply mo yan pagdating mo ng crime pro. So, mag-recap nga tayo. So, let's have a short recap, no? Regarding dun sa TOS. Para alam nyo kung saan kayo iikot. So, i-explain ko lang siya ng very light. Okay. Compare the jurisdiction of courts, meaning to say, but when it comes to MTC, ano ba yung cases under the MTC? So, lower court yan, di ba? And then, kapag yan ay 6 years and above, the jurisdiction would fall under the RTC. So, after ng MTC, akyat tayo kay RTC. So, after ng RTC, aapila tayo kay Court of Appeals. After kay Court of Appeals, pupunta tayo ng Supreme Court. Pero kapag ang cases naman ay regarding sa mga corrupt public officials with the salary grade of SG27, let's go under the Sandigan Bayan. If taxes naman ang pinag-uusapan, let's go to the tax appeals. Okay, the CTA. Kapag Muslim ang pinag-uusapan natin, let's go with the Sharia court. Okay? So, ganun lang naman yung jurisdiction of courts na tinatawag. O, mag-tap kayo ng heart. Yun yung compare the jurisdiction. Okay. The fundamental concept ng crime pro. Ano bang concept ng crime pro? Para saan ba siya? Saan ba ginagamit yan? So, that's the proper procedure na kinakailangan. Determine the rights of the accused. Yung rights ng accused, nasa evidence din to, di ba? So, ano yung mga rights ng akusado during the trial? So, nasa evidence to, as well as yung rights ng witnesses. Kung ang accused under the crime pro ay merong karapatan, ang witnesses under the evidence ay meron din silang separate na rights. So, right to be informed ng kanilang mga karapatan and so on and so forth. Ang daming rights ng isang accused. Diba? So, that is protected under the Bill of Rights. Okay, andun po siya kinuha. So, yun, take note nyo yun. Next, evaluate the procedure in the conduct of the arrest, with or without warrant. Paano mo masasabi na yan ay valid yung pag-aresto? Tignan mo muna kung meron bang warrant.
Kung meron warrant, of course, valid yung pag-aresto. Tingnan mo naman kapag walang warrant. Kung wala yung warrant, tingnan mo kung pasok yung tatlo. Kung in flagrante delicto ba yan, hot pursuit, o kung yan ay escapee. Diba? So, ganun lang, kasimple. Next. Okay. Illustrate the procedure in the filing of cases, conducting PI, inquest proceedings, including the barangay justice system. Tandaan niyo, pagdating sa barangay justice system, kailangan muna ng mediation at conciliation. Pag natapos yung proseso na yan at hindi pa rin sila nakasundo, doon pa lang pwedeng pumunta ng korte. Pero pag hindi pa natatapos yung dalawa na yon, hindi pa pwede. Hindi kaabot-kabot na okay, nagkita na yung dalawa na yan, nag-meeting na sila ng 3 beses, tapos na. Hindi po ganun yun. Kailangan matapos yung dalawa. Okay? Yun po kapag sa barangay justice system. Pag preliminary investigation, tandaan ninyo, pag PI, bago na yung batas natin, 6 years and 1 day. Anong determination? Prima facie evidence with reasonable certainty of conviction. Yun po. Simple. Kapag hindi yan 6 years and 1 day, direct filing na tayo. Yun lang siya. Next, utilize the process in the application for bail. Arraignment pre-trial trial. Pagdating sa bail, ang tatandaan ninyo, kapag yan ay reklusyon perpetuo, matik di na makakapag-bail yan. Kasi capital yung punishment. Makakapag-bail lang yan at maging discretionary kapag the evidence of guilt is not strong. So during the arraignment, ano namang nangyayari sa arraignment? Binabasahan ka ng sakdal laban sa'yo. Then right after that, mag-enter ka ng plea mo, whether ikaw ba ay guilty or not, guilty. Or better yet, magkakaroon ng plea bargaining agreement. Kung saan, aamin ka para mabawasan yung penalty mo. Okay? Or yung iyong liability. Kung saan, murder, dahil umamin ka, homicide na lang natin, plea bargaining. Ganun lang kasimpleng plea bargaining, nakikipag-bargain ka nga eh. Kumbaga sa ukay-ukay, nakikipagtawaran ka. Then after that, pre-trial. Sa pre-trial, dyan po nagkakaroon ng presentation of evidence, markings of evidence. After the pre-trial, pupunta na tayo ng trial proper. Kung saan after the trial proper, napresenta na lahat ng ebidensya, na-examine na. Then after ma-examine yan, magkakaroon ng judgment na. Pag nagkaroon ng judgment, okay, may hatol na, kapag hindi ka sang-ayon doon, anong gagawin mo? Mag-aapila ka. And then, pag nag-apila ka, pag hindi ka nag-appeal within 15 days of the promulgation of the judgment, then therefore, tinatanggap mo na yung hatol laban sa'yo. So, ganun lang siya within the 15-day period. Okay? Next is, illustrate the procedure in the presentation of the witnesses, including the child witness. So, particularly in the conduct of the direct examination and the cross-examination. Ito, galgal na to nang discuss sa inyo ng evidence. Which means, ang isang bata, during the direct examination, pwede po yun mag-ask ng mga leading questions. Okay, bakit? Kasi to proper guide the child para mas maintindihan niya at maunawaan niya. Okay po tayo doon? So, yun po yung end when it comes to the criminal procedure and court testimony. So, do you have questions? Klaro na po tayo lahat? Okay, so next. Sabi, akala namin ma'am tapos na, meron pa palang next. Okay, meron pa po. No, wait lang. Okay. So, dun, under the TOS, no? Para na akong nag-discuss ulit sa inyo. TOS pa lang yung binasa ko nun, ha? Okay. So, okay. Pressure means you're doing something that matters. Okay? So, wag kayong ma-pressure. No? At kung nape-pressure man kayo, alam nyo meron kayong ginagawa. So, at alam ko, napapasa kayo. So, please, no, before kayo matulog, and pagising nyo sa umaga, at bago kayo mag-start mag-exam, i-pray nyo to. No? Para sa ganun, matulungan kayo. So, bago tayo mag-end dito lahat, so ipag-pray ko muna kayo. So, Lord, please calm all the minds na lahat ng magtitake po ng POA exam